Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Ignite Your Heart and Soul right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my guest today, a very sacred dancer guest, is Karyne Daniels. She says why women should indulge in sacred dance as a part of their wellness regime. You know, we get so caught up in what will people think and, will they make fun of me? But sometimes you've just got to get up and dance. She says sacred dance is for every woman's dance. Why the creative and influential woman should have a daily movement regime. As creators, leaders, and women on a mission, moving our ideas and initiatives through our body is a must. We can not always be in our head regarding what we do. We must drop into our body, light it up, heartfelt, fused with prayer, meditation, and optimized service and discernment. Sacred Dance Path is a full body movement system that provides the feminine divine, and just that. And she is a movement guider of over 40 years professional experience and creator of the Sacred Dance Path, which provides sacred dance classes for women around the world via online or in-person instruction. She's also a new dance, get my tongue out of the way today. Yeah, she's also a unique dance path systems movement rooted in Polynesian and urban stylings. Got to find out what that is, don't we? And full body wellness, mind, body, soul, and spirit. In addition to movement regime, the weavers and the values and the principles of Ola, and which works in tandem with the dance to awaken women to an experience of embodiment, heart light activation, overall vitality, when the support of all of the areas of a woman's life. We all need support in our lives, folks, and we always go and look for it on the outside, and we don't realize it is actually on the inside if we know what to do and how to ignite it. Welcome to the show, love.
Thank you, Sarah. Aloha from the island of Maui, and thank you for having me today.
Let's have a little quick word on Maui. How is it doing? Because that was quite catastrophic what happened there. And obviously there's a lot of pain being felt, but I know that it's a very resilient island that will also all come together in their own sacred dance to rebuild.
Yes, it is quite painful. Personally, I wasn't directly affected, but the whole island is affected. Many have lost their lives. Many have lost their homes, as you saw, probably by the online photos. You know, Lahaina was devastated. There's also an area up where I live called Kula that was damaged, that had a lot of fire. But really, you know, everyone here is sad. There's a sorrow that is palatable amongst everyone that lives here. And the island actually is very quiet. There's no tourists. It's really just the people that live here are here.
The Maui family, right?
Yeah, that's usually bustling with tourism, but that has come to a stop. And so people are grieving about that as well, on top of the devastation. The other businesses that are still open, you know, have lost revenue. And so everyone's trying to figure out what to do. Many people have left the island. A lot of discussions about how to rebuild. Of course, the Hawaiian culture and the leaders in that community are coming in to have their say about what they want done with the land that has been damaged.
Yes.
So there's a lot going on here. So it'll take a while.
We've been hit with fires here in BC as well, and it's been quite devastating. There have been towns where, houses, a whole area, thousands of homes have gone, thousands of homes.
Yes, I saw
And
that.
a few lives have been lost, mostly of fire people, which is horrible to see. But there were 13 firefighters that lost their homes, but they could still continue to be on the front lines and keep fighting. And it's, that togetherness, there's a bigger enemy out there, the fire, right? And it's everybody coming together and doing what they need to do to fight the fire, to support the firefighters, to support the people that are now homeless, and to rebuild. And I think, whenever we look at these catastrophes, which are quite devastating and most certainly, a long journey back to recovery, but I think it's an invitation for people to come together, when in a reminder that we need to support one another, that we have created a whole load of villages that need to be supported with love, with kindness, with compassion, with creativity. And I think that's always, whenever there's devastation, there's always an invitation.
I believe that as well. I truly do. And I've seen it here almost immediately when the fires started. People started rising up and communities started helping each other. And I just realized I'm living here within a powerful environment, and there will be beauty that comes from the ashes.
Yes.
And I'm trying to do my part
Mm-hmm.
in my little way, which is through dance and through movement and giving people a space to
Mm-hmm.
come and move their pain or sorrow or even
Yes.
emotions through their body and express their love for Maui and for the culture and for the people, and pray and dance and do that type of thing. So
Well, I do think people really understand that, when we're in anger or in pain or in sorrow or in despair, our entire body crunches up.
yes,
And that means the chi, the energy, can't run through it. The blood flow is not running through, the oxygen is not running through. And
yes,
in that state of being, this is not a time to make a decision. And that you owe it to your wholeness as a being to take that breath and connect with body and set it free. Because by setting it free, you're setting all the fluidity of all your energies through your body and out again to others as well. So, it's the first thing that we do when we're in anything is crunch. And it's,
yes,
now how do we unwind? And not just in mind, but heart, body, spirit, and soul.
yes. I couldn't agree more. It's, part of my philosophy is to keep people in a healthy state of embodiment. And that means breathing and moving and staying fluid. And, that when we're in that healthy state, I always say that, we're keeping that communication with God or
Mhm.
spirit flowing, and we need to be still tapped in
Yes.
even during the tragedy,
Hmm.
because we want to be of good, we want to be of service. So and we will feel the pain.
Yeah.
It's not like you're saying, I'm going to numb out and just
Mm.
dance, and
No.
be in this, no, where you're actually tuning in.
Yes.
And we cry with those who cry. We
Mm.
mourn with those who mourn. We laugh with those who laugh. We still stay tapped in and in alignment with our community to be of service, but stay in a healthy state so that we can do the most good.
I think that I'm a, a counselor in a different way, but I always have people to have mirror talk, have a conversation with yourself. It's very hard to pull the wool over your own eyes, but I think it's the same thing with mirror dance. If you're dancing in front of the mirror, when you actually see your body loosen up and you see your body flow and extend and elongate, there's something about that connection of seeing yourself do it that allows you to open up even more to that freedom.
It does. And, the mirror, it's funny that you bring it up because the mirror is kind of like I don't know what the phrase is, but, it's a
Reflection.
bittersweet idea. Some people don't want, oh,
Mm,
they don't want to use the mirror. And some people find it useful. I
yes.
happen to use the mirror in my class because I have so many people in there. And I think it's a beautiful thing to watch everybody moving also
Yeah.
as one.
Hmm.
And also, you can see the person next to you looking forward in the mirror, and they're totally dancing in freedom of spirit.
Yes.
And that kind of inspires you.
Hmm.
And it gives you the permission, like, I can let go too. So
Yeah.
then we all work together.
Well, the whole thing I think is, through the history of time, there's always been dance as a celebration, no matter what the faith is. There's always
Yes.
been dance, movement, something that is a connection to earth, connection to spirit, connection to ourselves. And but then somewhere along the line, it came into being, no, no, don't do that. That's embarrassing, right? No, don't make a fool out of yourself. And you've got certain areas of faith that are like that. It's rigid and sacrificial, and it isn't about the embracement of our soul and our spirit within us and how
Right.
to connect to that. And then you have others, where as they're singing and they're dancing, the whole body is moving and
Yeah.
gyrating to it, and it's not only embracing in, but it's releasing out. And it's so important to have that movement,
Yeah.
for the mind, heart, but body, because our body, as I said, feels everything, and we need to release that so that we can allow that chi, that wisdom energy to come back through us.
Yes. I don't think God is offended at all.
Not at all.
No, I
Not
think,
at
God
all.
created it. God
Yes.
created us to move, and to
Yes.
express. And I think, and I've been doing this all my life, and it has kept me alive. It
Mm,
has kept me happy. And I can't even, I mean, the list of benefits just goes on and on and on. But it is, I think if you don't do it, you don't realize that you need it. But then once you do it, you go, oh my gosh, I feel so good. And it
mhm,
opens your mind. There's a level of expression that you can't achieve without this movement. And it is healing. There's healing qualities and properties in it. It keeps you healthy physically. And
mhm.
as you said earlier, for blood flow
Yeah.
and metabolism and the chi and
Mm,
the energy. And also when you experiment with adding audible sound to
mhm.
dance, when you sing and dance, and you don't have to be a singer,
No.
you can just make, even humming or
Mm,
making some type of prayerful utterance
mhm,
as you're moving really ramps up the impact as well.
mhm.
So once you begin to see, wow, I'm really seeing the benefits, then you add it in to your
Yeah.
daily regime. Because and sometimes it could be coming home, you had a stressful day, you've got issues, you go, what I do is I go into my room, I shut the door, and I have a 10-minute just moving, jumping,
Mm,
shaking, and I come out, and I've got answers. I've resolved some things through
yes.
moving my body. So, and as you said, it is an ancient
Hmm.
modality. This rolls all the way back to the beginning of time, and so, and it's relevant for today as well.
Each culture, when you look at it into the history, has their own way of dance, the
Yes, they
uh,
have
in,
their own sacred dance.
and the indigenous are very much about the feet and
Yes,
the in the
rhythm.
rhythm. And the African people, it's really like the heart has been stumped into the ground. And when you hear them in harmony when they're singing, it's up and it's down, and it's just a really beautiful fluidity. And when you look at the different cultures and you see how, the ancients of dance has carried forth with them, there's a reason for it. There's a reason why that particular culture has always used dance as a way of expressing, as a way of connecting, of a way of releasing. And there is no wrong way or right way. You've just got to find your way. What way is for you? That
Yes,
way you start feeling that connection. But it is about that connection of within as well as without.
I agree. And I found my way. For me, it was Polynesian dance,
Mm-hmm.
the indigenous dance form of the Hawaiian people, but also Tahitian. And I've also done Maori and Samoan dance. And that started when I was 5.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I'm Mexican and Italian. So it truly captivated me and called me to it. I didn't seek it out. I just knew my parents knew I wanted to dance.
Right.
So they took me to the local dance studio and showed me the arrays of dances, flamenco, jazz, tap, gymnastics, all these. And then there was hula. And at 5, I was like, that's what I want to do.
And
I,
that's
I
what you
just,
continue to do. You're
and
lucky at
here I
that
am,
age.
and I'm 60
You're
now,
right. Yeah.
and I'm still doing the thing that I did at 5. I'm still doing it.
Well, you're
Uh,
lucky because it found you so young and you knew that it was your path. And so many people have walked a path of societal expectation and dictation
yes.
and, are rebirthing themselves at 40, 50, 60, 70 into a path that there's more to do with their frequency and their vibe and their purpose in life. So you were very blessed to find it very early in life.
Well,
And that's
I
probably
think
why you look like a 20-year-old.
well, it was my charge. It was my
Mm.
assignment. So I believe God brought it to me so
Hmm.
I could begin at a young age to hone my skill, which is what I've been doing all of these years, developing, learning the meaning of dance and all the different ways of using it, how to teach it, how to communicate with all kinds of people, how to get the dance from me into them. I
Yeah.
mean, I've been learning. I've been on a path of learning how to be the technician. And now I'm at a place of ministry where I can work with people who haven't found their dance, who
Hmm.
haven't found that way of moving that brings joy and healing to their life. So I can lead them into that now, which is very meaningful. But but yeah, it is such a blessing. Do you dance?
Have been a dancer all my life, but I have a condition right now that turns my body into cardboard. And so it's, kind of hard to move, but I know that I need to move.
Well,
But
you can dance in your mind
oh, I
too.
do that. I definitely do that.
That's very
I'm
healing.
very much a believer that whatever I do in my mind, and I'm a storyteller all the time, so there's always going on a storytelling, that whatever I am doing in my story is actually happening to me in my psyche and through my body. If my body can't do it, my heart, soul, and spirit and mind can do it.
Yes.
And I'm a firm believer in that. And I know that at one point there was somebody that they did testing on that, of testing of people's frequency while they were imagining things. And they
Yes.
tested their frequency and how it went up. So I'm a firm believer in that. If I can't do it physically anymore, I can still do it on a different plane.
And even just sitting where you are,
Yeah.
raising your hands
Hmm.
and swaying back and forth to a song that speaks to you, using accompanying your imagination with it, that's dancing too.
Yes.
Along with that healing breathing, the long deep breath, the imagining, the lifting of the hands, the swaying, you can do that as well.
Yeah. And I think, when we find out what is our fluidity, what is our frequency, because, people think that we're just walking a linear life straight road. No, there's nothing straight about anything. And we look at our DNA, we look at everything that's made of it. It's all twisted, turned, and in movement. And that is us, even in our fluidity. Everything we do is like the wind. It's a dance, right?
Yes.
So are we fluidity in the way we speak? Are we fluidity in the way we think? Are we fluidity in the way our body moves? It's like, what is it? What is it within us that is our flow? And then how do we tap into that flow, whether you can do it physically or not? And yes, there's a certain amount of physical I can do. I just can't overdo. Otherwise I pay
Yeah.
the price for it. So you look to other ways of doing it. But we need to kind of stop looking outside in the sense of you've got to be this and you should be that. And this is what will make you happy. And to realize that your meaningful purpose, your joy of life, your healing, and everything comes from within, comes from through you and
Yes.
connects with you for you to express out. But it's
Yeah.
not, another app or another this or another that. You can learn a technique that you apply within, but it's everything always going within, isn't it?
It is, and we are equipped. I believe we have everything we need. God has completed us.
Yes.
We have everything we need. We just don't tap in
No.
and press in and pursue those parts of us that have been untapped. And once we do, then we discover.
We set it free. We set it free. And
Yeah.
that's the beauty of dance, isn't it? Is that,
Yes, it is.
is first whether you're listening to the music or whether you're listening to the heartbeat of life, whether you're listening to the wind rustle through the trees or the ocean lapping against the shore, the children's laughter, the puppy dogs, everything has a rhythm. And whatever rhythm you're tapping into is sway to it, move to it.
Yes.
You might be out in public, you don't have to get out into a whole thing dance if that makes you feel uncomfortable, but you can sway those arms or swing those hips or those shoulders or something.
Right.
Tap into the rhythm of life.
Beautifully said. I agree. I believe every answer.
Sorry,
I,
could you
be-
repeat that, love? You got cut out.
I believe everyone is a dancer.
Yes.
I believe we, like as you said, just the dance of life, the rhythm of life, the steps we take, the choices we make. We decide, what rhythm we're going to choose, by the choices we make, the way we flow throughout our day, the costume we wear, the emotions we share, how we make dinner and how we flow from
Yeah.
this room to that room, and the speed at which we walk, and how we pause and how we move forward. It's all a dance that we're doing all day long. So,
I mean,
yeah,
you talked about the clothes. I lived in South Africa for a number of years, and not only because it was practical, because it's hot country, but I loved the flowing clothes. And there was something about the clothes, the way they flowed around me. Sorry about that. Way they flowed around me, the way they they allowed me to swing and sway with me. And I think that, clothes can be very much something that can put you into that fluidity, put you into that movement. If you're wearing tight jeans and a tight top, it's not kind of conducive. You can find a way, to do,
yeah,
but there's
yeah.
something about wearing something that is loose and flowy that becomes kind of that invitation to flow along
Oh,
with it.
yeah. Oh, I totally agree. And yes, some people have thought that might be kind of superficial, but
Mm-mm.
I always say it isn't,
No.
because to me, it's divine adornment. It's
Yes.
the way we adorn ourselves that prepares us for an
Mm.
experience. And so I teach a class here in Maui called Mana in Motion. And the women that come to the class have really stepped up in terms of what they wear now
Mm.
when they come to class, because they see how I adorn myself, and I do wear the flowy dresses or
Mm.
something that just makes me feel good. And I do it with freedom, and I come in that way, which gives them permission and inspiration. And now they're all coming in with these outfits and these dresses. And I'm like, what is, this is turning into a movement,
Yeah, exactly.
literally, because,
Literally.
and
Yeah.
they're like, oh, it's Tuesday. The minute I wake up, I start thinking about Mana
Mm.
in Motion, and I start thinking about what I'm going to wear. And I'm like, that's beautiful,
Yeah.
because the class and the movement is penetrating you. It's
Yeah.
even
You're
before
becoming
you
a part
get
of it, at
here.
one with it, right? Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the dance is beginning
Yeah.
before we even gather in the studio.
Right.
You are, it's in your mind. You're visualizing, how do I want to feel when I get to dance class? And what you wear will help you
Yes.
achieve that. And
It sets the stage, so to speak.
And it
right?
helps the
Mm.
overall,
Yeah,
as a group, as a community, when we're all kind of celebrating the moment and celebrating ourselves, we're also celebrating each other.
yeah.
And so as a collective, it just adds to the experience. And so you're right, what you put on can instruct how we feel.
I
And
think it's part of our sensuality, not
yes,
necessarily sexuality,
exactly.
sensuality.
I
When we
agree.
tap into those senses and the way a cloth falls on your body and the way
Yes,
it wakes up the body senses, the
yes,
way the music gets us to move, we're connecting to the movement, we're opening up to our heart and souls. All of our senses are being exaggerated, are being opened up. And yes, it can lead to sexuality where you feel incredibly sexual, but
yes,
it's about the senses waking up. And, we look at some dances that are quite erotic, especially go back to like your 50s and your 40s when some of the dance was kind of risque. It was a new type of dance, but you see the elongation and the deliberation of the body movement and done
yes,
slow and deliberately and centrally. It was like permission for a woman to feel central about herself, right?
yes.
And it's taking that ownership of our own sensuality, our own beauty, our own embodiment of who we are. And I think that's very liberating for women. So when we can wake those senses up inside of them, it wakes everything up inside of you, doesn't it?
It does. And I witness it time after time. I've been on this path for over 40 years. So
Mm-hmm.
I've seen so many women just come in so closed
Mm-hmm.
and insecure and doubtful. And, they bring their baggage with them to class, but
Yeah.
I let them know they can leave that.
Yes.
You can leave it, it'll be there. If
Yeah.
you want to pick it up
Yes.
when you leave, you can, or you could just leave it.
Mm-hmm.
But come and just surrender, just
Yes.
be in a space of surrender, vulnerability, and faith. Having faith that you can rise and achieve
Mm-hmm.
another level or version of yourself just through dancing, through expressing. And then, I set the environment too. As you said, it's a sensual thing. So the lights are a little dim. So that's the
Mm-hmm.
visual, the sound. The music is delicious. So I use incredible music, which is very inspiring to the women. So they have that coming in their ear. And then, the what they're wearing adds another layer. And then spirit is involved too,
Yeah.
because, there's prayer and meditation within it. So I try to hit all the areas that I can of the sensual so the woman or the participant can have a full experience.
Some people say, just meditate every day, cross-leg and this and that. And some people can do that. I had a wonderful monk on, and he was saying he takes people into Times Square and say, like, meditate amongst the chaos. It's
Mm.
meditating in peace and quiet is all one thing, but how do you find that peace and quiet amongst the chaos, right? And I think that when you learn that that indoctrination of yourself, of your own peace, of your own presence, that no matter what typhoon is around you, you can find that within you because you know how to tap into it. And that your prayer, no matter what it is praying to, and that it's not about the identity, it is about the source of energy that is coming through you, the wisdom, I call it the soul wisdom. Um, that tapping into that brings about so much peace and creativity, clarity, and a sense of just knowing what you need to know when you need to know it. And you can deal with anything in that state of being. And so that in itself is a form of meditation, isn't it?
And it's a powerful tool, and everyone has access to it. We take vitamins, we
Mm,
take essential oils, we drink our water, we go for our walk, we do a lot of things, but we don't really press forward to the more maybe alternative
yeah.
modalities such as sacred dance, And that is a thing too.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell people this is what I do for full body wellness
Mm-hmm.
is I dance, I meditate as I'm dancing, I'm praying
Yes.
as I'm dancing, I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing healthy breathing as I'm dancing, I'm elongating my spine as I'm dancing, I'm visualizing, I'm working things out.
Yeah.
And this is a tool that is
Yeah.
accessible to everyone. And when I say dancing, it doesn't have to be full blown
Right.
technical. Like I said, it could be swaying, just
Yes.
moving the atmosphere, lifting your hands.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be a daily
Yes.
thing that you do as well. You take your vitamins every morning. Well, you can do your dance every
Yeah.
day.
I mean, you talked about, elongating your spine. Well, that's the chakras. Again, when
Yes.
you're crunched up, how can the chakras speak to you and open up? When you open up those chakras and you align them up, you've kind of oxygenated them now. They can get to work, right? So
Yes.
it's really important that we do have that stretch out and that step up just to allow our body to do what it's designed to do. But when we're crunched down, or
Yeah.
crunched in, it wants to help, but you have blocked it and it
You've
can't.
clogged it. There's like
Hmm.
a clogging of
Yeah.
the flow. And I've had to deal with issues being a professional dancer all my life. So, I'm 60 now. So
Yeah,
I have
see, she looks
issues.
20, folks.
It's
You
the
do.
dancing. Keep
Yeah.
dancing. So you teach others what you need to teach yourself. So
Yes.
I've incorporated into my classes teaching my students to elongate because I have to elongate.
Hmm.
And my phrase is lift your crown to heaven,
Mm.
reach, don't sink,
No,
reach.
allow. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And that way, that long, deep breath, the flow of spirit up and down your body, it allows spirit to go into those places in your body for healing.
Yeah.
The sacred dance is kind of like it feels like an oil.
Mm.
To dance this way, to dance and flow and pray it's like a healing oil. And as you're praying and moving, that oil goes into the parts of your body where you need it for
Yeah.
healing.
You're a
So,
tin can one moment, and the next moment you're oiled up, and
yeah,
you're
there you go.
you're a scarecrow.
Got to keep it moving. We
Gotta
can't get
keep it.
rusty.
No, exactly, exactly. But I think what, again, people don't understand is the whether you are just sitting and waving your arms or whether you're actually getting up and dance or whether you're totally immersed into it, you are allowing your spirit to talk through your body and
Yes.
speak to you on what you need to know when you need to know it. And that if we could get out of our own dictation of how things should be and take the word should out altogether and allow and be present and be open and ready to receive and step into that beautiful gift of vulnerability. When you're in trust in that vulnerability, then the divine speaks to you in a way that is always nurturing, always loving, and always for your best. And
Yes.
so it is that trust of that, it's not a conditional thing. Well, I'll do this if. No, it isn't it is. I will surrender and allow in order to receive.
So beautifully said. And sometimes the biggest breakthroughs can happen when we don't want to move,
Right.
but we get up and move anyways.
Yeah.
And then once we're in the movement, we begin to see and hear things where if we stayed crunched and
Mhm.
hunched and holding tight to our stress, we're just blocking the flow. But if
Exactly.
we just take a chance, and my challenge for all of you who are watching are to take the chance, stand up from your desk or for wherever you are, put on a song that moves you, a
Mm.
song where you just want to close your eyes and
And sway along.
sway and hum. Put that song on, give yourself the duration of that song and say, I'm going to block everything out and I'm just going to go. I'm going to go to the place where God or spirit is, where the divine is. I'm going to let myself go and see what happens. and let that be, start there. Start with a
Yeah.
3-minute something every
Yes.
day.
And also, it doesn't have to be the same thing.
Yeah.
You go to something because that music that you need to hear that day that's there to release you
Yes.
will speak
Yes.
to you. So it's not, I have to listen to the same song. No,
No,
it's
no.
just
You should
go
have
to
a
your,
playlist. Have
yeah,
a
have a
playlist.
playlist and even, go on. I do this sometimes when I'm stressed because I have a lot of balls up in the air right now. I have
Yeah.
2 books up in the air. I'm about to join 2 TV stations. I'm about to go overseas and I can't find my passport. So all these balls are up in the air at the present moment. And it's like, okay, I've put them all up in the air and they can stay there for the moment and I'll bring down one at a time and try and stay in flow. Otherwise, if they all come down at once, it's like, I'm dropping them. And I
Yeah.
think sometimes it's like, give yourself some credit. You can handle all of this, but you need to handle it in a space and place where you are calm and you need to know what is it that I need to handle in the moment,
Yeah.
right? And you know that clarity of what you need to do when you've opened up the fan. And again, that's important right now. That isn't important right now. That can wait a moment. This can get going.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and then you've
That
got
feels
the
good.
ability to do that, right? But you can't think that if you're in the stress of all the balls in the air. You can only think that when you are, I now can see.
Yeah. I do that exact thing. I believe there's a wisdom that's achievable in the dance,
Mhm.
in the sacred, a personal sacred dance regime. There's a wisdom that develops within you, a body wisdom, a spiritual wisdom, an emotional wisdom, where you just are more grounded all the time. And when those moments come up, you do have a divine response. There is a divine order where you can say, okay, that thing over there needs to wait now, and
Yeah.
I'm going to attend. And you just have this knowing of how to prioritize and how to flow, when to go, when to stop, when to wait, when to pray, when to say yes,
Hmm.
when to say, I'll think about it. When, it's those responses that really, I believe, are a direct effect from a movement regime. Because when you're moving for full body wellness, it there's an effect for the rest of your
Yes.
day.
I think
So
it
you
slows
dance
you
for
down.
3 minutes,
Yeah.
you can dance for 3 minutes, but the effect is
All day long.
longer.
Yes. And I think what we're doing, society demands that we be at fifth gear all the time. No, we don't need to be at fifth gear all the time. What
Yeah.
dancing does, it slows us down to that third gear,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And we can get up into that fourth gear when we need to. And we don't need the fifth gear. Sometimes, okay, all right, I need to get into fifth gear right now, but I don't need to speed ahead. By slowing down, you see more around you of what is applicable to what you need in the moment than you do being in that fifth gear all the time, swishing
Yes.
right by it.
Yeah. I let God do the fifth gear.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
like God could go ahead and set things up so
Right.
that
I'll
when I
catch up.
arrive, it's already almost complete. I just have to move
Mm,
in the flow of spirit. And
yeah.
that's been my motto in this past year, is to live my life at the speed of spirit,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
not faster, not slower, but just right in that rhythm. And even if that means spirit is saying pause,
Yeah, exactly.
and trust that, because
Yes, there's a reason.
pausing is a dance
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
Stillness is movement.
Holding
And
the pose, right?
yeah, strike a pose.
Yes. I used to be the hare, and now I've become the tortoise. And when I was young, of course, everything is about, the vision, the seeing. I just want to make it happen right now. But the benefit of being the tortoise is the people I meet along the way, the wisdom and the knowledge I meet along the way. In slowing down, I've become more deliberate. I've become more focused. I have more clarity. In taking my time, it has opened up possibilities for me to see so much more. and to know what is important and what isn't important. And, I think that's kind of the case with my disease as well. It slowed me down. And I think that's the reason I was given it, because I think my energy, spiritual energy was too high and I was going too fast and I needed to slow things down. And everything comes for a reason. And instead of kind of the anger or why or this or that, it's like, okay, let's understand the benefits from it.
Yes.
There's always benefits from something. Maui is burnt in parts to the ground. BC areas are just, and we've, is it, oh God, I don't know, something like 50 million hectares have gone, and everything along with that, homes and animals and everything else, and the recover, and they expect us to be in drought mode for quite some time and more fires to come the next year. So, times have changed.
Yes.
And I firmly do believe that as we lift our frequency, our vibration, our spirit, our higher consciousness, we are going to be able to refrequent Earth. I think she's in trouble because we are giving her too much of the anger, the hate, the discord, the opulence, the everything else. And she can't cope with it. And she's rebelling. Right, part to do with climate change and the abuse that we're putting on this earth, but I think Mama Earth is also saying enough is enough. Right, you
Yes.
carry on like this, I'm going to evict you. And I think
Yes.
it's up to us to raise that consciousness. And when we're dancing, we're in that beautiful divine energy, in that frequency where you could actually measure it as it's going. You're not only feeding yourself, but you're feeding Mother Earth as well. And we become a gift to one another. We become a gift to all living things because we're on that higher frequency and vibration of love.
I agree. And it's been part of my philosophy in teaching this dance is to teach people that this type of dance can change the world.
Yes.
I believe it can. And if you set that intention and you come into the dance space knowing that what we're doing is not just contained to this space, you will have benefits for sure, personally, but on a greater scale, what we do in this spiritual dance reverberates out
It does.
into the world, and it
Absolutely.
does good. And right now, as you said, with the condition of the world and even people and things that are happening, it's time for the sacred dancer to rise up.
Yes.
It's time for
Absolutely.
for the world to begin dancing and stomping in a tribal way, even
Yes.
to
Yes.
hold your spear and
Right.
your staff up high and dance with prayer and intention. And I believe it's time. It's time for people to dance. I know the world needs it, the earth needs it, and we personally, we need to
Yes.
move. We
This
need
is
to move.
this is the invitation for the universe of our next evolution. It is saying, come on, human beings, you're behind. It's time for you to rise up to that fifth and sixth
Yes.
dimensional energy. It is time to let go of the 3D
Yes.
dimension that is about fear, is about opulence, greed, and hate, and discord, and all of that. We can't thrive as human beings in that state of being. We become destructive to ourselves and everything around us.
It's not natural either.
It's not natural. And you talked about the spear. I would actually change the spear to an open palm, right? Of sharing the love and allowing the love to come through us, because I feel for me it's put any form of weapon down and put your heart up there. Put your
Yes.
heart up there to be
Raise
received.
hands, raise your
Yes.
hands,
Yeah. Raise your hands not only to put out, but to receive in.
receive. Yeah.
And if we want to change the condition of the world, we need to change the condition of each of us, of ourselves,
Yes.
because we are the solution that this world needs, but we're also the problem. And so when we fortify ourselves in the state of a higher vibration of love, when we allow our bodies to flow, mind, body, heart, and soul, and we go with that spirit and allow ourselves just to immerse ourselves into the rhythm of life, and we rise up to that higher hertz and higher frequency, higher vibration, we become in that state of love where we cannot knowingly do any harm to anyone else. For to do so is to reflect harm back on ourselves. This is where we need to be, and we can get there if we're willing to work on ourselves. And through sacred dance, wherever you're dancing, whatever you're dancing, it is about opening yourself up in order to heal, to receive, to allow, and to expand out.
Yes.
And it's
Amen.
something we can all do. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
Doesn't matter.
I believe we're all called to do it. We're all called to
Absolutely.
do our part. And dance will usher in. It's an ushering move. You
Yes.
know, it's
Yes.
used specifically. I mean, there's many stories where music and dance was on the battlefields of
Yes.
these great wars. You know,
Yes.
it preceded the war or the actual battle. You know, there, and it's done in processionals as well,
Yeah.
in the moving into a new experience.
Mm-hmm.
Dance is at the forefront. So I believe, on a bigger note, that sacred dance can usher in a
Mm-hmm.
change in the world as well. And
It doesn't matter if you're putting on your Armani suit and you're a lawyer and you're about to go to court. You know, while you're getting dressed, you can do some risky dancing or frisky dancing, whatever that was called, right? It's like put the music on and just sing along with it or let your body sing along with it. Just go and do something a little crazy, right? Let it out, let
And
it
I
go.
find that those people in the, you know, those type of professions where they have to be in the three-piece suit behind
Yeah.
they're the best dancers eventually, because they,
You've got to
you
let it
know,
go.
they learn,
Yeah.
they know the benefits of
Yeah.
completely coming out of the cubicle of where they have to stay and work and be in their mind. And, you know, they got to come out of that. So there's a great freedom and benefit. And yeah, if that's what you have, you're getting dressed in the morning, even jumping up and down, you
Yes.
know, put some disco, put some, you know,
Yeah.
dance music on, do a 3-minute activation,
Mm-hmm.
and
With
then
some
go.
gratification.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's there. It's all there. It's at our fingertips. You
It's
know,
right there. It's right
this,
here.
yes. I mean, there's
It's
a
right
song
here.
that I'm always reposting because I love it. And it's what the world needs now is love, sweet love. And it was done, sung by Will somebody, a British guy. And it was done for, I think the oceans, you know, it was a promo for the oceans, but the way he sings it, and in one part of it, there's a quiver in his voice. It is
Yeah.
just so beautiful. And it is the fluidity of it is like the ocean. I can understand why they chose him to sing it. And it is, which is quite corny and simple. And a matter of fact, is what the world does need right now is love, sweet love. And but first, we have to love ourselves so that we can be that love we seek and exude that love out to others.
Yes. It always starts with us.
It does. It
It
does.
starts with us. So that would be a beautiful dance. You know,
Hmm.
I think everyone should have their own personal
Yeah.
theme
Hmm.
dance, like that song. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. That would be something that I would prescribe to you
Yeah.
if I were, and which is what I do. I prescribe dances to
Mm.
people for different ailments that they might have. But that would be an activation, not just for you, but also to send your love out and to create movement to it that interprets the song, because the lyrics are so poignant that you could use your hands to
Yes.
interpret the lyrics, and let that be your little prayer dance
Yeah.
that you send out into the world. And the feeling that you get from that is, it is just amazing.
Yes.
Because I do these dances in my class. I have these prescribed little choreographed sacred dances. And by the end of class, the women, we're sitting in a circle. They're crying, and
Mm.
it's tears of joy and
Yeah.
emotion, where
And a
they were
release.
just,
Hmm.
because it's the hand movements
Yeah.
interpreting the powerful lyrics that touches the soul.
Mm.
And I believe we need to do that. We need to tell stories. We need
Yeah.
to tell the stories of love, of healing, of life, of I mean, any story that's good, that touches you, that has a benefit for the world. We can tell those stories through dance,
Yes.
as well as our own personal stories. You know,
Mm.
I've moved women through their stories, you know, even the hard stories, the stories of pain and suffering and trauma. Um, I'll pick a song that is reflective of moving them from the dark to the light.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a healing that happens in
Yeah.
that, where in the dance, they leave their old person behind and they say goodbye to it. And by the end of the dance, they're risen up to
A different
light,
frequency.
the light. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a journey there.
There is a show in America called America's Got Talent, and through the years it's changed and evolved quite considerably. But they have this group of people right now, and I can't remember, I think there's 30 of them, but they hand dance. And
Yeah.
they are so utterly in sync, and the movement, the fluidity, and the story that they tell,
Yeah.
right? Just through the hand movement. And the not one of them is out of sync. It it is transcendent to watch them in flow and telling the story with the hands and the music crescendoing behind them. And it's
Mm.
like, you know, whether you can or whether you can't, or whether you want to or whether you don't, it doesn't matter if you move your whole body, though it is good to do so if you can. But if
Yes.
there's a certain part of you, like Italians speak with the hands, and I seem to speak with my hands a lot, it's about which part of your body wants to move,
Yes.
right? And allow it to move, allow it to express itself, allow it to have its say, right? And
Yeah.
just let it go, let it be, because it's we have had, and especially with social media now, all these, no, you can't do this, and you've got to only be popular if you do that, and this is the dictation of what makes you somebody. And it's, no, please don't buy into, beg of you, don't buy into that,
Yeah.
because that is a delusionment of society's expectation that is unreachable. And you are good enough for who you are. All you have to do is discover who you are and set yourself free with no apology, with no other permission from anyone else other than yourself. And when you do, then
Agreed.
the beauty of who you are really will come out through you.
Agreed. I couldn't agree more. And I inspire my students to do that as well. I mean, I am the leader of the class, and
Mm-hmm.
it's my concept, my music, my movement. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of me in it,
Right.
but I am the guide. I'm the movement
Exactly.
guide. But I always tell my students, I want you to find yourself
Yes.
in this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to give you a template
Yeah.
and I'm going to show you how I do it. And
How to use the tool.
but
Right.
inspire me
Yeah.
and spring
Mhm.
off of that,
Exactly.
because ultimately the ultimate goal is that you find you
Yeah.
in this.
And that's the important thing, is that what you're doing is giving them instruction of how to tap in, how to
Yes.
feel it, what
Yeah.
movements are really good for you. But then it then becomes your interpretation of what that is as you discover yourself, right? As
Yes.
you set yourself free, your own dance comes through. But without that
Exactly.
instruction of how to connect and how to open it up and how to step into that rhythm, you can't find your connection.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's really what I think I'm doing.
Mm,
I mean, I'm just a way shower,
right.
because I want to show people the way into themselves,
Yes.
to find the God within them, to find their spirit and their style, their personal expression, and that personal ability to heal mind, body, soul, and
Mm.
spirit through movement. So,
Find,
um,
really kind of ignite their divine essence
yeah,
that is waiting to
yes,
be expressed, waiting to come out
yes,
and
it
step in.
needs to be.
Hmm.
The
Yeah.
world needs every one of us.
Every single one of us. If we rise up to that higher frequency of love, we started not only feeding each other with love, but feeding everything that grows with love. And we know scientifically, we know how things grow with love because it is a vibration that is of growth. And, there's something about music that science has wonderfully discovered now is that certain music at certain hertz frequencies collaborate inside your body. And
Yes.
so when you're feeling out of balance, there's certain music that you're drawn to listen to, and it just gets you collaborated back into sync, where that music now has centered you back to where you need to be. And that if you can move to that music at the same time, it's like you're putting yourself back together.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It's a
Now, do
beautiful.
people you only can help people that come to you? Do you do anything online?
I do. I am accessible. People can reach me through my website, sacreddancepath.org. And I do work with women around the world. I also have a global sacred dance for women or men to join in on Saturdays. It's one Saturday a month. So we're starting that this month on the 23rd. And I'd like to offer that as a free gift
Wonderful.
to anyone here. I don't know if I sent you the link on that, but
I'm going
I
to
can,
double check, put the
um,
glasses on.
yeah, if I haven't sent you the link, I can send you the link. Anyone is welcome to sign up. It's an hour of sacred dance where we're going to do a lot of the things that we spoke about today. We're going to tap into the Polynesian way of movement, hula, Tahitian, a little bit of reggae, a little bit of fun
Reggae.
kind of dance.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a Hawaiian reggae.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
Yes.
And then we always end our dance with a very poignant kind of sacred sitting dance for storytelling and meditation. So,
Well, folks, if you come to selfdiscoverywisdom.com and you put in Karyne, spelled Karyne, Daniels, Daniels, very important you spell it properly, folks. So Karyne, Daniels, Daniels, and you put that in the search engine, her show posting will come up. And on that posting is that free package for you to click on and join for September 23rd at 11 o'clock Pacific and 2 p.m. Eastern. So you have to come to the page in order to get it. And of course, you've got your sacreddancepath.org. And you have Ola, Aloha, at Sacred Path, Sacred Dance Path.
yeah, that's my email. It's
Right,
aloha,
right.
ALOHA at sacreddancepath.org. Yes, they can email me there as well.
And Facebook, you're under your name. And
Yes,
Instagram, you're under Sacred Dance Path. And
yes,
do you have a YouTube, love?
I do. It's Sacred Dance Path, and there'll be some video samples up there as well.
Excellent. And
Yeah.
if so many people for so long have been so rigid, whether it's fear, whether it's anxiety, whether it's depression, whether it's angst, unhappiness, when we seize up, so to speak, and we feel that we can't move forward, um, like we're even encased in something, we can't break out of it, that is when you really need to let the music in and let the body flow. And so if dealing with something that you don't quite know how to deal with right now, or you need that music when you just don't know how to hear it, or don't know how to get the body moving to it because you're so disconnected, this is where you reach out to Karyne because she can help you on that path of connection, of hearing the music where the body hears the music. You see, what you're hearing with your head is one thing, what the body is hearing is another, and you want the body to hear it. Because when the body hears it, it can't help but move to it.
And what we'll do is start where you are. So you come to me, you tell me your issue, and then we begin dancing from there.
Yeah.
And we begin putting together a dance regime cultivated and tailored to you
Mhm.
and what you're feeling, what you're going through, what you're seeking. And we'll just dance you into life
Yeah.
from there.
And it doesn't matter if you're big, small, tall,
No,
short. It doesn't
no,
matter. Your body
no.
has got rhythm, folks. It's got rhythm. It just needs to switch it on.
Your body wants to dance. It really does. And as I said, it could be at its simplest,
Yes.
just sitting in a chair and moving and reaching your hands to, the music is very important. It
Yeah.
has to be a song or music that you love. You have to be inspired by it, and we can find that. And once you get comfortable moving in your chair, all you have to do is stand up.
Yes.
And now
Yeah.
you're at the next level, and stand right in front of your chair, and then we can move you. We can
Mm,
begin undulating
mm,
you, and then maybe you'll want to take a step. And another step, before you know it, you're in the center of the room
mm.
and you're expressing yourself.
And those hips are moving, and you didn't know
And the
they could
hips
do
can't,
that.
the hips have to move, honey.
Those hips are really, when you think about kind of all dance, hip movement is so very important, isn't it? It's a wonderful way of loosening everything up. But there's something
Yeah.
about the hips that, you know, they just can't help but get into the rhythm.
Well,
The
the
arms
hips
may
are
do
very
one thing, but
spiritual. The hips
yes,
are a
yes.
sacred part. It's the center of the body.
Mm,
It holds the upper and the lower together. It's the place where humans come from.
yeah,
We're
exactly.
birthed. It's the birthing center. Um, it's a life center. And I always say communicate with your hips. When
Yeah,
we're dancing and we're doing, obviously the Polynesian is
yes, it's
all
about
hip,
hips. Yeah.
in different ways, the circle,
Mm,
that's the circle of life.
yeah.
Then the figure eight is we're
Mm,
drawing the eight, the infinity, um, in our hips, the undulating, the side to side, the pendulum, the sway. So
mm,
each symbolic move of the hip has a greater representation in the world. It's like the universe within you, and you're dancing those
yeah.
symbols along with your breathing. So if you can see it as a spiritual
Yes.
gesture, not a, let's take the fleshly or sexual out of
Right.
it, and it has a time and place. But if you can look at it just from a very spiritual way, it is a spiritual way of moving, because
Mm,
it is the center of the body.
right.
And the rest of the body will react.
Right.
And I've also worked with women whose their hips won't move. They've just, it's like cement
Yeah.
every years and just all of their life of
Mm,
holding
yes.
trauma in the
Yeah.
hips. And the hula, as I said, that hula
Mm,
is like an undulation,
mm.
and it just gently will touch the hip, and it'll touch the hip, and it keeps seeping in like oil until those hips are
Can't help
moving
but
in it.
move. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes it takes a while, but the hula is very magical. It's very beautiful. There's a miracle in the hula, especially for women, because, we hold so much in our hips.
Yes.
So, but it can start at in a small step, just by lifting the hand,
Yes.
just a lift of the hand. And then we start from there.
There was a wonderful movie done a couple of years ago of Elvis Presley and the young man playing it was really sensational. But there was a scene there where he was in his father had gone to jail, so his mother and brothers were in this very poor area where a lot of African American people were. And he came across this couple dancing very centrally, very much into the hip and the movement and the flow. But at the same time, there was a church sermon going on, and the same music is playing. So he's watching the young people dance and kind of being awoken by the movement and how entwined they were with the music. And then he's drawn over to the church and the sermon going on, where it's the same music, but now you've got the people in prayer moving and
Yeah.
moving forward, and how it completely ignites inside of him that rhythm and that connection is something that went into his music for the rest of his life. So you never know what music's going to ignite inside of you.
Wow.
All right, just out of the head, folks. This is not a head dance. You don't think it, you've got to feel it entirely.
Yes.
Everything is allow and feel. Let the body feel. Let the body feel and do what it needs to do.
Beautifully said. And I hope that people, right after they watch this, get up
And
and
dance.
dance, put even just drum beats. If you
Yes.
have like a rhythmic drum
Mm,
beat, or even just guitar, an
yeah.
instrumental or a piano, put something on and just let it take you to that place. And
That's why I love, I love jazz and I love the bluegrass and I love it because I call it elongation music. It is music that is deliberate and it
yes,
allows deliberate movements where you can really feel it's not frantic. It's like you feel every single part of you moving deliberately and it's gorgeous. It's fabulous. So, and the
beautiful.
figure eight that you were talking about, I was South Africa's first go-go dancer at the grand age of 15. And my brother had a mobile discotheque, and then my boyfriend and I had a mobile discotheque, and we were kind of the first of its kind there, right? And so go-go dancing was just not known of. And here I am being paid to dance, which I love to do. But it was all about the hips. It was all about that figure eight and swaying the hips to the music, obviously the hands going, because
Yeah.
that's the way it was at that time. But it was about the hip movement. And I ended up doing classes with people to show people who used to dance in a different way of how to get into hip movement and just how to
Oh
let it
my
move, the
gosh.
figure eight and just let the sway go,
Yeah.
how to move the knees so the hip can have the freedom. And it was quite liberating for people, to step into that because once they did, you can't undo it.
Well, I can't believe you mentioned go-go dancing, because I just finished a podcast before yours, and the title was How I Found God on a Go-Go Box. And I did, because I was a go-go dancer as well.
Yay!
Um, yeah, so we're go-go
You're
sisters.
right, the 70s, man.
Well, for me, it was the late 80s and early 90s in Orange County, California, and Los Angeles at the big nightclubs. And it was a spiritual experience for
Yes,
me, because I love dancing solo, and I love going to that place,
yes.
that spiritual
No
place.
inhibitions, right? Just
And
get going.
it was a spiritual experience
Mhm.
for me, because we would dance for like an hour at a time
Yes,
straight, and
yes,
not knowing what the DJ was going
right.
to mix each song into. So I
Exactly.
was kind of like dancing intuitively,
Yes.
where I would just anticipate, okay, he's getting ready to change the song and I'm going to flow right with it.
Yeah.
And when I would dance that way, I felt I was dancing with God. I
Yes.
felt that I was being instructed and led and even healed. And I would open my eyes and I would see people watching me,
Hmm.
and they would gravitate up to my go-go
Yeah.
box, and they would just be like looking up, like just watching for what I was going to do, as if
Right.
I was ministering to them.
Yes.
So it was an amazing experience. And so
For me,
I
it's like a shy British girl who had gone from England to South Africa, and I was very shy and had been very, very sickly as a child. So my mum always put me to bed, missed lots of school. I didn't have a lot of friends. And then suddenly I'm thrown into South Africa and then thrown into this type of world. But what was so wonderful about it is that I actually could be me, which is the spiritual being having a human experience. And so
yes.
far, that human experience hadn't been so great. And so I can allow my spirit to come through. I could allow my soul to
Oh
express itself.
yes,
I
I
could
could
allow my
totally
heart
imagine.
to exude. And yet, like you had no idea what the DJs were going to play and you
Yeah.
just adjust along
Yeah.
to the dance. And I did that for quite a few years, and then it got seedy, and I, came out of it. But it was, I mean, I was at parties, I was treated like a celebrity. People would request me, and then, as you said, follow along. People who've been so used to dancing kind of rigidly or ballroom or, not quite knowing how to actually allow their bodies to move. They just watched you move and then just subconsciously kind of followed.
Yes.
So, yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of like personal training to be
yes,
intuitive
yes,
and to follow the flow of spirit,
yeah,
because God is always speaking to us all day long.
always.
It's like nonstop. We
Right.
just have to tap in. And so when you're dancing that way, and kind of a freestyle, free form, just being instructed moment by moment by moment, you
Yeah.
really learn how to go with let spirit pull you,
Yes.
into the next moment rather than
Yeah.
concocting it in your
No, the
mind.
head had nothing to do with it.
No,
Just
no,
completely in flow, completely in flow. And the
that's
beautiful
beautiful.
thing about it is that there wasn't room for thought.
Yeah,
You know, the thought
yeah,
process that just wasn't even present.
no,
I was feeling, and you were so immersed in the feeling of what you were doing that, you know, the thought didn't have the place, which was lovely.
yeah,
So a
yeah,
wonderful form of escapism as well, of just to get out of your
yes.
head and all the chatter and the expectation and just go
And
into the
people can
flow.
do that at home.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
continued to do go-go dancing, and I still do it today at home
Yes.
instead of out in the clubs.
Right.
Because I go to bed early now, and I can't be in those environments, but I go dance every morning. I have my playlist, I put it on, and I just dance and dance and
Yes.
dance and dance and dance. That is the greatest feeling, to be able to do
Mm.
that.
Yeah.
And I prescribe it to everyone.
I need to, in whatever way I can, get back to it. I have kind of forgotten that path. Because I thought I'd never marry somebody who doesn't love to dance, and I did. But then what I did with my kids, I'd put on "We Are the Champions" or other music,
Yeah.
and we'd sing along to it, and everybody would dance, and it was all about silly buggers, you know, just didn't matter what you did, just go for it,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and uh, and about that freedom, which is, I think that's the beauty of dance. It is a form of expression, of storytelling, but it's also the freedom that you find within the dance, which is beautiful. So, yes, get up and dance, folks. It doesn't matter which way you're doing it. Now, if you are really going through something and you're really needing help to connect to that dance, then please, Karyne is here for you. She'll take you on that path, customize it to a point where you and the dance can be one. But if you can't reach her, just put on some goddamn music and let your body go. Don't think
Yeah.
it, don't don't analyze it. Just let your body have the voice. Let your body, spirit,
Yeah.
heart, and soul have the voice. It's got a lot to
Even
tell you.
even during the hard times,
Yes.
I have found the most powerful dance sessions that I've had
Mhm.
have been during times of travail
Yeah.
and hardship
Yeah.
and pain. So it's, we can do this sacred dance for all types of different things. There's praise and worship, there's celebration, there's really going into spirit and bringing your pain and your suffering and whatever is heavy. Bring your
Mm.
heaviness
Yeah.
to the dance and dance it out. Start on your knees. If that's where you find yourself, some days we find ourselves on our knees,
Yes.
depending on what we're going through in life. And that's God is there too.
Yeah.
Come down. Let's go low. Go
Yeah.
low to the ground. Maybe it's on the ground rolling. Maybe it's on your knees until spirit picks you up on your feet again and you
Mm.
rise and you can reach your hands to heaven again. But that's very powerful. I have moved through so many moments in my life,
Mhm.
hard moments. I just danced it out,
Yeah. Yeah.
danced my way back to health.
Exactly. And that's the thing is, we were given a body not just to carry things, but, you know, to listen to its language. It is
Yes.
another form of intellect. You know, that spiritual intellect that when the body is free is speaking volumes to you. And you may not, you know, be able to translate it into words, but your soul and your heart and your spirit knows. And that's all that needs to know to carry you through. We have to let go of that. I've got to intellectualize everything. No, the intuitiveness of our very beingness is where the wisdom is. The
Yes.
intellectualism is what we've been taught, and it doesn't always apply. And sometimes you just have to switch it off and just be present with your intuitiveness and let it go.
I agree. I agree. The body has the wisdom. It's all in us.
All
And
in us.
our head serves a purpose
Oh,
too.
it does. Oh,
At
it
the same
does.
time,
But
but
it's
we
not where the
need to know.
clarity is if the body and the spirit hasn't had an expression. You know,
And I think the more you press into it, the more you know which is
yeah,
which. Like, okay, I
right.
think I need to drop into my body now.
Yes, yes.
Or, you'll know when, okay, I need to intellectualize, I need to think. and then drop into my body. I mean, they could work together. Sometimes
Yes.
it's working things out here while you're moving.
Yes.
It's a what they call conscious dance,
Yeah.
where we're conscious in our aim, where we're aiming our prayer or our intention, and then dancing it at the same time. So, there's that too, where we can work out an idea like, should I stay? Should I go?
Mm.
I'm working out a decision. Do I take this new job?
Yeah.
Do I stay 6 more months where I'm at? Should we move to the city? Whatever it is you're looking for an answer for, you can actually dance that
Yes.
out. You can bring this.
You can ask the spirit through dance,
Yes. Yes.
to guide you, because it's not about you thinking the answer, it's about you feeling the answer.
Yeah.
And the
Put
dance
it
will help
out
you
there.
feel it.
Put it
Yeah.
out there and then dance it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's like what I need to do with my passport right now.
Where is my
Exactly.
passport?
Exactly.
Come to me.
Oh, you put something away safe so nobody else will find it, and that means you too. So,
You'll
yes,
find it.
I've got to find it. Yeah, bought the ticket, I've got to find it. So, that's the thing I think is a lot of the time is get out of your own way. It doesn't matter if somebody's watching you. Quite honestly, if you get up and dance in the middle of the street or in the park while you're there was one guy that he dances everywhere he goes. He dances to work and everything. I know some people might look at him and go, ooh, and other people look at him and smile and
Yeah.
kind of get that rhythm as he goes by and uplifts them. So
Yes.
if the heart and the spirit compels you to do something, don't argue, please. Just
Yeah.
do it.
I think dance is most powerful in unlikely places.
Yes, yes.
It really, I've been to a lot of festivals and functions and church services and different events, but when the dancer comes in, if she or he or they bring in a totally different element that is compatible to the whatever event that is, but it takes people kind of to an ethereal level.
Yes.
For instance, I've done worship dance in church.
Hmm.
And so you have the message, and then they bring on the dancer, they bring me on where I can dance the message they heard,
Hmm.
which kind of, I think people appreciate, because then it's a more artistic,
Yes.
visual,
Mhm.
and a daydreamy kind of way to really dream about the message you just heard and see how it applies to your life.
It's the senses have been
Yes.
invited to listen to the
Yeah.
message, right? Not
Yeah.
just the head, the senses are getting the message as well.
Yeah.
So,
Even at weddings, I've done
mm,
wedding dances. I do a Hawaiian wedding dance. So after the bride and the groom say their vows and they do all that, then I come in and I kind of do a dance that reminds them of the vow and the
yeah.
love and the path that they're on. And so it's an artistic expression. And even at funerals
Yes.
or
Releasement of the soul. Yeah. Mm.
anniversaries, the commencement of events, and the breaking of ground, and even for healing, when there's a person dying
Mm.
or in illness, to bring in the sacred dancer to dance around that person. It's very powerful.
Yeah. Igniting
So
that energy, that healing energy. I was just thinking of the vision actually of teaching people, the bride and the groom, to do an halo dance, Polynesian dance as their first dance.
I've done that.
All right. I mean, not only kind of beautiful, but what a wonderful connection of the senses
So it's their
merging
own
together.
sacred dance.
Yeah.
It's like their first
Yes.
sacred dance together,
Yeah.
commemorating the
This connection.
vow and that
Mhm.
day and their anniversary. And
Right.
it's something they can do together every
Yeah.
year on their
Yeah.
anniversary. And yeah,
That
that's
reminder of that connection, of the intertwinement. Yes. Beautiful. There's so many things that
so
dance can
many.
do. So many.
Yes.
And whether you're just swaying your arms or getting those hips going, it's just get up and do it. right? Get up and do it. But if they need you, they go to sacreddancepath.org.
Yes.
And they can also reach you at Aloha, ALOHA, at sacreddancepath.org and
Yes.
reach out to you. And of course, you're on Facebook and Instagram, so they can follow you there as well. But, you know, if you're at that stage where, you know, I need help, right? I need help. I've got a blockage and I can't get through, and I want to connect to dance, but I just can't hear the music, or I've got no rhythm at all. Everybody's got rhythm. We've just got to find it. That's all. It's how do you ignite it? How do you switch it on? And with the right approach, you can switch it on. Then you can get those hips going, folks. So thank you
It's
so much for
time.
being here with
It's
us.
time, people.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, first is the free will. You know, I want to set my body free. I want to set my spirit free through dance. And when you give yourself permission, it's amazing how much opens up for you. So,
And I invite you to Maui because
mhm,
we are open. Visitors are welcome. And if you are ever wanting to immerse and have a personalized movement retreat, I create those as well. I
mm,
work one-on-one. We'll set up a beautiful experience for you here in a beautiful environment, and I will move you through your sacred dance on a daily basis. It could be a 3-day, 5-day, 8-day, whatever package you decide, but we could put that together too.
excellent. Again, I'm just thinking of couples about to get married to come along and do that together. You know,
There you go.
what a wonderful way of kind of making sure that your two energies have been able to dance together. So there's so
Mm.
many, whether it's healing, whether it's connecting, whether it's setting yourself free, whether it's breaking off from a path that you've taken and it's a rebirth, you know, it's this, learn how to tap into that dance and let your spirit dance. Let your soul express, let your heart
Yes.
feel it, right? It's a wonderful
Yes.
feeling.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you so
Absolutely.
much for being here today.
Thank you, Sarah. I had fun. It was great talking with you.
Right with you too, folks. And you know, this kind of makes you want to get up and put some music on and get dancing.
It's
Please
dance
do.
time.
Please do. And you know, I'm talking always about podcast parties where people listen to a podcast and come together and share their own individual experiences. Wouldn't this be great to have a podcast party, share the experiences, and then get up and dance?
And
Each
have your
one of you in.
playlist ready and then,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And just let it all out. And
freestyle.
yeah, exactly. And just set yourselves free. So that's important, folks. Set yourselves free to let your heart, soul, and spirit dance, because that's what we need in the world in order to heal. So
Yeah.
until next time, folks, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tag at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.